Stay tuned as we talk to Groton's new town manager, John Burt, on this week's edition of Welcome to Groton. Hi, I'm Cindy Morrison, and this is Welcome to Groton. Today, we have with us John Burt. Welcome, John.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. So let's just jump right into it, and let's hear about the new town manager. What is the basic information? Where did you grow up? About your family, your education?
I grew up in Battle Creek, Michigan, which is southern central Michigan. Okay. Kellogg Cereal's world headquarters. Oh. So if you go down, there's also a Post cereal there, and nice. If you go downtown, the whole town smells like cereal. We used to take tours of the cereal factories every year. Everything's cereal there. World's largest breakfast table would be a big event every year.
Oh man, so. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then how about family? Always from Michigan?
Yeah, met my wife in college, Stacy, and
nice.
When I was going to school for urban planning, but been married this December will be 23 years.
Oh, so, wonderful.
Got two children, a daughter who's 17, Anna, and my son Thomas is turning 14 today.
Oh, happy birthday.
So yes, he's been debating on what he wants to do for his birthday weekend, so I think we're kayaking this weekend.
Oh,
so,
very nice, yeah. Very nice. You're in the right time of year for that, perfect.
But do you want to go a little bit more into that?
Yeah, okay. We'd love to.
So just the whole background. So went to Central Michigan University for my undergraduate. That's where I met my wife, as I mentioned. Urban planning was my major under the geography program. Okay. Originally, actually, I first started out for teaching, and as soon as I did a little bit of student teaching, I'm like, that's not where I wanted to go. So I ended up liking geography and land use and that kind of stuff. So I went into urban planning. Went to Western Michigan for my graduate degree, also urban planning.
Oh, cool.
And then from there, I moved over to the Southwest Michigan, to Berrien County, Michigan, St. Joe's, the city. But I was there for about 9 years, started as the planner there, and then moved up to the assistant director and then to the planning director. But we also had a lot of different functions there. We had housing, the bus system, solid waste. We had 3 landfills we dealt with. We had land descriptions. Like part of my first job besides setting up the geographic information system was also doing legal descriptions for properties. I would have to write, anytime they split or combine, I'd write the new legal descriptions. But so I was there for about close to 10 years, and then decided it was time for change, so I went up to Otsego County to be the county administrator.
Nice.
Was there for about 11 years before I moved here.
Wow. So I'd have to ask, and I think the people would want to know, what made you decide to look at southeastern Connecticut for a job?
Well, once we decided it was time to change, I had a great board where I came from. It was a board of commissioners and great staff. I've been there 11 years, had great people in place. So I didn't leave lightly, but I wanted new challenges. I have to constantly be challenged. After 11 years, I kind of worked out the problems there and got things going smoothly. We said, well, if we go somewhere else in Michigan, it's going to be more of the same, so why would we move in Michigan?
True.
So we decided, well, I'm only going to move if I find something really great. And so I only looked on the West Coast and the East Coast. Same day I was interviewing here, the next day I interviewed out in Oregon. So one day to the next, I was one side of the country to the other. And
that's crazy.
I fell in love with it here, and it worked out great.
What time of year did you interview here?
I think it was must have been early June, late May, early June, somewhere like that.
So we suckered you in.
Yeah, it was a nice time of year. Yes.
It wasn't January, February, no. Although I know snow does not scare you.
Yeah, I'm used to a lot of snow.
Yeah.
It was not uncommon to get 200 inches of snow. So
that is crazy. Okay, we can never complain about snow with him. Well, that talks about your experience with the government. What made you want to go to the public sector?
Well, sort of fell into it with urban planning. You can do private, but a lot of times you want to start into the public government. And the job was open there in Berrien County, and got exposed to a lot of different departments. And so I got to do a lot of different things, and just enjoyed it. And I remember first starting there, and it was a big county. It was over 600 employees. It was a big place. And I remember meeting the county administrator and thinking, I was really impressed with him and thinking, wow, you know, that was my goal, to become a county administrator.
Oh, wow.
And which I eventually did. But
and how far out were you at that point? 10 years, 5 years?
Before becoming a county administrator?
Yeah.
It took 9 years. Yeah.
Very good. So you're a planner, definitely.
Yes, yes, definitely.
I like that. What did you find most rewarding of those jobs and of your current job?
Well, the most recent job in Otsego County, I really ran the buildings and grounds. I did all I was the lead on all construction projects, on managing those construction projects. So I built an animal control building. I was in the middle of a library expansion when I left.
Very
but
nice.
I've done all sorts of projects like that. Probably one of my favorite projects from there was the kind of an interesting story. Louis M. Groton, if you look it up, he invented the Filet-O-Fish sandwich for McDonald's.
Okay.
He owned 43 McDonald's restaurants throughout Ohio and Kentucky, and his summer home was in Otsego County.
Okay.
And he had about 765 acres, and he was getting on in years, he was looking for what to do with it. He was originally looking at different conservation groups on just locking it down. No one's ever going to basically come here, and because it had 2 lakes, it had wooded and remnants of a sawmill. It was just a fantastic property.
Oh, man.
And got talking with him, met him, got talking with him, and the more I talked to him, I realized, what he really wants to do is, I think he wants to have kids enjoy this property, but he just wants to make sure first that it's protected. So we went through about a 6-7 year process of negotiating, him donating eventually the property to the county, and
Great.
I was the lead on that, working with him on that. And it was a great experience. Every meeting we had, he'd bring the McDonald's pies and the Filet-O-Fish sandwiches to every meeting we had.
Oh,
and,
that's great.
Never the fries, which is my favorite thing
right?
there. but so now it's a nature preserve there.
That's
I set it all
wonderful.
up. I laid out the design of it, did all of it. So that was really rewarding.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How great is that? Well, I look forward to seeing what you do here. When exactly, and I know it was in June, when exactly did you take over as town manager for Groton?
July 5th.
Okay, I'm sorry, July 5th. Okay. Well, I know our former town manager, Mark Offinger, he was with the town, and much like you, started in different facets of the town, worked his way up.
Right.
What insights did he give you your first few weeks that helped you probably the most with your transition?
Well, I was able to spend about a week and a half with him before he
good.
officially retired, which was great. You know, toured the town, went all over, and took me around to the different schools, especially the vacant ones, the history on those, and what was going on with them. Just the whole history, as much as he could fit in for a week and a half. But I've been seeing him still. He's on several committees still, and so I see him pretty regularly. So he's a real resource.
Good,
so
good.
He's made it clear he's available at any time to answer questions.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and I'm sure he will keep helping Groton and through you and whatever you need. Well, so being the administrative for Otsego County, how is that different to town of Groton?
Well, of course,
Manager,
of course, counties, are real municipalities there. It's more of a boundary here. But there's a lot of functions at the county level. Though even in Michigan, a lot of people don't quite understand what they do. But my mother-in-law kept thinking I was a city manager. She could not get it straight. And
that's so cute.
She could not figure out what my job was. But a lot of the same functions we had here. We had. Some differences. I had an airport there underneath me, a general aviation airport, and put on an air show every year, and that was real exciting.
Awesome.
That was fun. And we had a bus system underneath the county.
Okay.
Instead of having the appraisers, we had the assessors. We had the equalization, which in Michigan that oversees the assessors. So at the city, we have townships, cities, and villages there.
Okay.
And our equalization director would oversee their work, so kind of check their work. So that was a little different. So just a little change there. I'd say the biggest difference is you have elected sheriffs for counties in Michigan, so it's a little different than having your own police. I mean, I had a lot of financial control over it, but it was a little bit different. So.
Yeah, and a lot more people. What was the population of the area?
It was actually a pretty small, the earlier county I was with was about 150,000. The county I just moved from was a little over 25,000, so it was actually a pretty small county.
Okay, that's great though.
It had a very, some of the similarities with here is they had, you have anywhere within a county, you have cities, villages, and everything in between are townships.
Okay.
So the first county I was with had 22 townships, 9 cities, and 8 villages, and I worked with them all for planning.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's a lot of people to deal with.
Yes.
And a lot of organizations. Where I just moved from, we had 9 townships, a city, and a village. Okay. And I dealt regularly with all of them. And so it kind of reminds me of here where you have a lot of different communities within a community. Yeah.
What do you find is most unique about Groton?
Most unique from where I'd say in terms of government or in terms of just the area?
Well, let's do a little of both.
Okay. Government, you know, the council reminds me a lot of where I came from because I had 9 commissioners there. I have 9 council members here.
Okay.
The RTM is new here, and I've only been to 2 RTM meetings, though I'd watched several of their meetings before accepting the job, and I did a lot of research. So I understood how it was, and it feels right at home. I like it really well here. That's probably the biggest difference. Other than taxes are done quite a bit different. You know, you have to learn the laws from one state to the other, and taxes are much. In Michigan, you have a maximum mill rate, period. That's as much as you can go to. Though for a special function, you can have the voters vote on it. Like we had an animal control millage that's kept totally separate from the general fund. And the general fund, though, does not grow beyond natural growth. It's a set natural growth. Like if you have new construction, it can add to your taxes, but you have a set mill rate, period.
Oh, okay.
And so that's a lot different. But that's more the mindset I come from is we got to make it work. You know, here's what the amount of money we have. So that's where I come from.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk more about that when we get back, but we have to take a quick break. We'll be back after the break with John Burt, our new town manager.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
I'm always the first one up. I'm always up for a challenge. I'll overcome any obstacle. I don't believe in limits. I refuse to be average.
Hi, welcome back. We're talking to Town Manager John Burt. So we were talking about some of the differences and whatnot and what we like about Groton. What is the most challenging part for you been so far taking over?
One is learning the laws difference between Michigan and Connecticut.
Yeah.
So, you know, just got to take it one step at a time as things come up. And I did quite a bit, as much reading as I could before coming here. But there's only so much you can do because you're wrapping up everything where you're leaving. You want to leave them in good shape. So just learning those, but then also just meeting everyone, getting to know people. And I'll admit one of my weaknesses is remembering faces, and I have a heck of a time with that. So you know, that's probably my most challenging.
You are
my wife to tell me.
You could say we all have to wear name tags, big bold name tags.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of people don't have tags at their desks. I've noticed that.
I know. You're right.
I might have to do that.
I know. There you go. Next agenda. Yes. What's your first impression of Groton community?
Love it. You know, just there's so much to do here. The people are friendly. You know, before I moved, some people outside of here, outside of Connecticut, kind of lump it in with New York. A lot of people are like, they're going to not be nice, and you know, all that kind of thing. Everybody's been perfectly friendly. It's been great. There's so much to do here between the great park system in Bluff Point State Park and the casinos. We've already seen a couple of things, shows there.
Great.
We've never been to New York and Boston before here, and we've already been to both of those. And
right. We are in the prime location for visiting both.
it's excellent. Yeah, no, we're thrilled with that. You know, we were kind of, the only thing I was worried about is we loved, northern Michigan has tons of trees. We're like,
Right.
you know, for some reason I had the impression there wasn't going to be many trees, but it's great here.
Oh, yeah.
And then the biggest surprise was I love the rocks here. You know,
We have rocks
I love
everywhere.
it. I love it.
You can get a yard full of rocks.
I love that. You'll just, next to a house, you have a giant boulder, and I love that.
Yeah, we can set you up with some nice
My son
places.
says when we buy a house, you know, we have to buy one with a boulder.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of which, so your family, you're in town, you have children in the school system. Probably the biggest thing I would assume for you is coming into the situation with this state of Connecticut budget and the whole issue with the schools and whatnot. With the current crises in the state budget, how has that kind of laid out everything for you coming into the job?
Well, you know, of course, it led into we had to do a hiring freeze and a spending freeze, which in some ways, though, we haven't had too many requests yet, but people are kind of holding off. But it's also good as they come up for me to get to know what these functions are and what they do. And so it's, you know, I tend to be an optimistic person. I look at everything as an opportunity. But, you know, they need to get the budget done though for October 1st.
Oh my gosh.
and I know our representatives and senator are working hard today. You know, the representatives are in session talking about a budget, so hopefully they'll get it soon. But me and Dr. Grenier from the school district are in regular, you know, we speak constantly and are in regular talks with one another about what's going on with it. And I'm hearing directly from the representatives and the senator what the latest is, and we're staying on top of it. And you know, kind of, we've stayed away from what ifs. We talked a little bit what ifs, but you know, until it's all done, you don't want to go there too much. You know, we'll handle it whatever comes down. You know, we've done what we can with the hiring freeze and the spending freeze to control prices, or control the expenditures. But we'll just have to see what happens. But I'm pretty optimistic that they'll come up with something.
I know. I think, you know, we're in good hands. It's just the whole waiting process has been so long, and everybody's on edge about it. But so, besides the state budget, what other issues are big priorities for you or for Groton?
Well, the supporting the sub base for one.
Oh, definitely.
But beyond that, economic development is a big priority. I feel like we need a little bit more of a mix of housing here. That's high on the list. We having some more mixed use development, and part of the housing and going along with the mixed use, trying to entice more millennials and more retirees to stay here. One big issue here is about 80% of the people that work in Groton live outside of Groton.
True.
And you know, I really want to change that trend. And I think part of having the mixed use development and more housing options will be part of getting them to stay here. So that's definitely a priority. I want to streamline, growing the grand list, streamlining. Okay, excuse me. Streamlining the development process and making it as easy as possible to get through that process. So we're looking at that. So those are some of my priorities, but the sub base is definitely high up there, especially now with this talk of a potential BRAC coming up.
I know,
that's got to be high, you know, top of all of our priorities.
Right. Speaking of sub base, you had mentioned off camera that you had gotten a tour of the base.
Yes, I've been there a few times. I meet regularly with Captain White Scarver, and we're in regular contact. And you know, we want to do whatever we can to support the base, and we'll continue to do so. Yeah,
we've always had a nice relationship with them, and I think from what I've heard, you're continuing to have that and building even farther.
Yes, you know, and jumping back just for a second to the budget, a group of us went and met with the governor last week. I forgot to mention that. It was me, Dr. Grenier, Mayor Flax, Mayor Hendrick, and Kim Watson, the Board of Ed president. We all went and met with them, and part of what we touched on is a big part of what we touched on is the importance of the base and providing good schooling to the children of those that deployed there, and so we had a good talk with the governor about that.
Oh, wonderful!
We got to remind all our legislators at higher up levels of how important this is, and I think I've heard the base has about a $7 billion impact on the state of Connecticut alone. So yeah, it's very important to the community.
Well, I hope it was well received, your meeting, and that you got your point across.
We did our best, and hopefully he got the point.
I know. So I know you did the base and strengthened that. What other things are you looking to, as our new town manager, to strengthen within Groton that you might personally, that we might see as something, as an attribute?
As an attribute, well, you know, there's so many attributes, and economic development's doing a great job of getting the word out about what all we have. But I'm not sure in the past that we've promoted the community to the level we have. I was surprised, I'd read quite a bit about Groton before I came for an interview, but until I really got here and spoke with people, I didn't even on the internet realize how many things there are to do here. And that we have the North America's largest casino, and we have, there's just so many things here.
Right.
And it's amazing. And of course, a lot of people have heard of Mystic. That's what we've heard of.
Mystic's always the big pull.
That's just one important piece, but just one piece of how many assets we have here.
Yeah.
And I just want to, be a part of publicizing and growing all of them.
I think we all agree, yeah.
And the opportunity of electric boat expanding. Me and Mayor Hendrick just met with Jeff Geiger there at Electric Boat and talked about what we can do to support that growth and what should we be looking at as a community for that. And that was a good meeting there.
Good.
We're meeting with Pfizer in a week. I think next week is when we're meeting with them.
Oh, that's excellent.
And,
good.
And my intent is to actually plug away as time allows to meet with different businesses and learn about their needs and really reach out to them.
Yeah, we have some phenomenal businesses and, like you said, events locally.
Great restaurants in this area.
Oh yeah, the restaurants are phenomenal. You brought up a thing, and I know this isn't something we talked about prior, but some of the towns locally, you see like the mayor of such and such Facebook page and the mayor of this, and our president, he tweets. So, are you looking to go that avenue at all?
Well, there's already, of course, a town Facebook page and some of that stuff. I do very limited myself. I mean,
You're a busy guy.
I have Facebook, but I don't do a ton of it.
Right.
I tend to, as long as I feel the news is getting out there, that's the important thing.
Right.
Whether it's from me or whether it's from somewhere else.
Right.
So, I do think there's room for improvement for what we're doing. I want to make sure we're getting all of that information out to the community. And having this resource of this TV studio here is part of it. That's great.
Oh, it's excellent.
We didn't broadcast our meetings where I came from, and it's fantastic here that they do. My wife watches.
You can sit in your pajamas and be at the meeting.
Yeah, my wife, I can't believe she spends her time like, but she watches a lot of the meetings I'm at.
I think the prior town manager had said the same thing.
Okay. But it makes her feel a part of my job, and we talk about things after the meetings. And
it's a great way to get the information out. Not everybody's accessible, whether by transportation or whatever means. Maybe they're stuck. To see the meetings roll over, I think is great, and so they can see what you're talking about or what's mentioned in the paper.
Right. I think all communities struggle with getting people to come in person until you have a hot topic, a hot button issue. We did where I came from. Throughout Michigan, people had trouble getting people to come to meetings unless it was a big topic. But if they can just tune in on their TV or their laptop and just see and just look at what they're most interested in, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah. What have been some of the things that you and your family have been most interested in? I know you mentioned the casino, but what are some of the things locally that you guys have found?
Well, I mentioned my son's birthday is today, but we're going to kayak in Mystic River this weekend.
Nice.
And he's dying to go to, I know, the Fields of Fire too. But we've been to Avery Point quite a few times. It's a nice place where you can go just relax and picnic and overlook the water there.
Nice.
We've been there many times.
Good.
And that's a great asset for the community. I met I forget what her title is, but the lead over at Avery Point yesterday, and I'm going to take an official tour there soon.
Wonderful.
So that's great. Like I said, many great restaurants. So there's my son's picked out his favorite restaurant for the weekend to go to, and good. So we've been eating out at a lot of interesting places, but just all kinds of things here.
Nice. We'll have to get you on the water. Have you done any of the cruises locally?
Not yet, but that's on the agenda too. I especially would like to. I know there's a cruise where you can go around to the lighthouses and actually go into the. I don't know all the lighthouses' names.
The
I know there's
light,
one. Yeah, you can go in inside that.
We were just speaking about that at the office. That one's supposedly haunted.
I heard that. Yeah. So I'm done.
Yeah.
We're really excited.
But
to
it's
do
very.
That.
We did it last year. We took the senior center and we did it, and it was a phenomenal trip. All those cruises are great.
I haven't done the water taxi yet. I'm thinking maybe Saturday when we go out.
There you go.
I know we're eating over that way at one point on Saturday,
Perfect.
so we might take the water taxi across.
Perfect. I know you're going to be at Groton Senior Center the end of September, and I can't remember what time,
I can't remember the day offhand.
We'll get that posted for you. To like a coffee with, and we'll have coffee with Town Manager John Burt, so people can come in and meet you, and a little Q&A. That'll be great. I like that. I'm sure people are coming at you all the time, but if you get a chance, we do hikes, and you can hike with us sometime. We'll show you some more trees.
Okay.
But John,
and
thank you.
And I do very much like hiking and anything outdoor, bike riding and a lot of that kind of stuff.
Oh, we can set you up fine. So thank you very much for being here. I think you've answered a lot of questions for our viewers. I look forward to, I'm sure I'll have you back on here soon.
It was my pleasure to be here, and I would love to come back.
Yeah, and hopefully by then we'll have a state budget.
Yes, hopefully. I believe we will.
We will. Stay tuned as we take a look at the upcoming town meetings for the next 2 weeks. If you have any questions for Groton Town Manager John Burt, you can email him at jburt@groton-ct.gov. Thanks for watching, and I hope you join us again for the next edition of Welcome to Groton.